Good evening, friends and family, and thank you for coming to another night with Repair, Restore, and Grow Black Communities Behind Black Business. This is our weekly podcast where we feature Black businesses here in Chicago. We feature people who are supporting Black businesses and organizing Black businesses here in the Chicago area. And tonight we have another special guest, a very busy person here tonight. I want to thank him so much for taking our time to be on this podcast. And this is Brother Minister Rahim Chesed.
Yes.
And I want to thank you. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
You're absolutely welcome.
That's right. And Minister Rahim Chesed, he wears many hats. He's doing some very important work in this city. He has a grand ministry that is going on in this city, and he's going to be able to talk to you about the work that he's doing. He has a lot of knowledge about what's going on in terms of the business world, in terms of Black communities here in Chicago. So this is going to be a very enlightening podcast. As you know, we are a nonprofit organization, and we started this organization in an effort to enhance the support and awareness of Black businesses here in Chicago. And why do we do that? Because we feel that our businesses have the ability to help circulate the Black dollar. We've heard the stories about how many times our dollar circulates versus how many times that dollar circulates in other communities. And a lot of that is because we are not spending our dollars with ourselves.
Yes.
And so our Black businesses, they're more likely to hire Black people. They're more likely to give other Black businesses opportunities. They're more likely to get services from other Black people. And they're mentoring. They serve as mentors for our children, inspire other people. When you come in and see another Black person doing something, that is inspiring to you. You know, you think, I can do that. I would like to do that. But when you see other people always at the cash register, always in ownership, what kind of presentation, what kind of influence, what kind of inspiration is that for our young people? And so we need to be supporting our businesses. I grew up in a community at a time here in Chicago when that's what we did. You know, my grandparents and my parents, that's just what you inherently did. And so we have integrated and we have forgotten the importance of supporting our own. And as a result, it's had an impact on our neighborhoods. It's had an impact on our family structure, just the whole 9 yards. And it's a whole lot of things going on out here right now that we can talk about, but it's time to get about the business of figuring out what is it that we need to be doing for ourselves.
Yes.
So, and we're just a few people here doing our part to do what we can. Myself, Doris Lewis, Harvey Yarbrough, is 3 of us that's running this organization and having these podcasts every week. And we're doing what we can, and everybody can do something. So that's what we want to encourage you to do. So we are great supporters of our Black bookstores. Now, Brother Minister Anton, you know, we once had 22 Black bookstores here in Chicago. And we dwindled, and we can blame a lot of it on Amazon. But there are other bookstores that are still standing here in Chicago. Some of them are Black and some of them are not Black. But
That's
they're
right.
standing because the people are still supporting them. And when we look at the education of our children, when we look at our literacy level, when we look at our knowledge level, we need to understand that it is still important for us to read books. And so we support our Black bookstores here in Chicago. And we feature a Black bookstore every month. The bookstore of this month is Sebastian's Dream. This is a home based bookstore located 7259 South Crandon. The address is 773 829 4862. Now, this bookstore was inspired by the mother of a child with autism. And I don't know if you know a lot about autism, but social communication, social interaction is a huge problem for individuals with autism. And as they get older, the complexities and the dynamics in terms of communicating with people, it just becomes greater. And so a lot of people feel individuals with autism don't want to talk to people, but it's difficult. It takes them longer to process information. So it's
Right,
not
right.
that they don't want to interact. We're human beings, and human beings like to interact with one another. But this mother started this bookstore. She has written a number of books, and her books have been inspired and written for her son to help him understand and to help other people understand the autistic world. So, what we do when we feature a bookstore every month, we give away a book from that
Um,
bookstore. So, she has offered two books. Um, KDK Plays Lady for a Day. These are children's books. And My Pops is Tops. So
mhm.
those two books are being given away in our book giveaway of the month. All you have to do is go to rrgbc.org, subscribe, and you can become eligible to win this book. We purchase the book, we pay for the shipping, and send that book to you in hopes that you will not only read the book, share it, but also support the bookstore. I've had many authors on our show, Minister Anton, and they have written books. And when I ask them where can you get their books, they tell me on Amazon. And I always try to encourage them to place their books in our Black bookstores. So that's our book giveaway of the month. We're also still working on our petition for our local schools to give contracts to our Black bookstores. We had Brother Yoel, who owns the Underground bookstore, who stated if they could just get 10% of the contracts for books that are purchased for Chicago Public Schools, that would help our bookstores, our Black bookstores, tremendously. So that is something that we are continuing to work on, and we ask that you go to our website, and we have Save Black Bookstores Chicago at change.org and sign that petition. We're also asking you to give support to Afriware Bookstore. Afriware Bookstore is trying to raise $30,000. Afriware Bookstore has been around for a long time. Afriware Bookstore is located in Maywood now. It's 1701 South First Avenue, right there in the Eisenhower Tower. But Afriware Bookstore has a lot of tentacles here in Chicago. They have done a lot of great work. They've had a lot of events. They support all that we do and anything that the other bookstores do. And we want to support Afriware Bookstore. So go to the GoFundMe for Afriware Books and make a donation to support Afriware. And then finally, we support the Southside Community Federal Credit Union. The Southside Community Federal Credit Union is located at 5401 South Wentworth, right there in the shopping mall, at the rear of the shopping mall at 55th and Garfield. They have been there for over 20 years serving the community, giving loans, car loans, mortgage loans, personal loans, financial literacy classes, trying to help the Black community and individuals who haven't been able to get the support that they need from these larger banks who have made so much money off of our community. So, in order for a bank to thrive, they need us to open up accounts. So, please go and open an account at the Southside Community Federal Credit Union. Okay, so let's get into our discussion here with Minister Rahim Aton. As I told you earlier, he wears many hats. He's also known as Sax Preacher. He is a founder of many and director of many organizations, the United Black American Progress Association, the Original Men in Black, which Brother Minister Rahim, as what led me to give you the phone call when I saw the card. I'm like, these are some Black men in our community doing something to protect and raise the consciousness level in our community. And so that's what led the call to you. And then there is the Temple of Mercy Association and the Masonic Lodge number 25. So that's a lot.
Right.
That's a lot. Absolutely. So I would like for you to begin to introduce yourself and give a little history. I understand you're a native of Chicago.
Yes.
To let people know who you are. Thank you.
All right. Well, first, I'd like to thank you, Sister Denise, for asking me to be on your show. And most of those places that you named, I've been to. The bookstore out in Maywood. I've been to the bookstore on 87th Street with my brother Yoel. Most of my books actually came from his bookstore.
Okay.
Yes, and so, you know, I went to Frontline. I never knew who owned it, but I have went to Frontline over in Hyde Park also. And there used to be a bookstore on 95th Street, east of Ashland on the south side of the street.
Yeah, it was
I think his name was Brother Kunjufu, something like that.
Yes.
And he wrote a book called The Destruction of Black Boys.
Mm-hmm.
And that was on 95th. Matter of fact, that was one of the biggest ones we had
Yes, it was.
at that time in Chicago. And then there used to be a bookstore on 75th and Cottage Grove before Hakeem Mahubuti moved over to Ellis. He was on 79th and Cottage. And I used to go there too. So, and you know, he's a book publisher.
Yes.
Hakeem Mahubuti, yes.
Yes.
So, yes, I'm very familiar with a lot of Black businesses here in Chicago because I've been supporting Black business since 1990. My name is Minister Rahim Chesed Aton. My, I would say, government name is Minister Darrell Wilson. Born and raised here in Chicago, on the south side of Chicago, in the Woodline area, but yet raised in Englewood. You know, like part of my life was in Woodline, and then at 12 years old, I was moved over into Englewood. My mother passed when I was 12 years old, and I actually went to high school at the age of 13. So when she passed in 1971, in August, that following school year, I was going into my freshman year at Hyde Park. I stayed at Hyde Park High School for one semester, and then when we went into a foster home, me and my brothers and sisters, there were 5 of us, they moved us over into Englewood, 944 West 59th Street, to where I then attended Englewood High School. I was not really Black conscious during that time. Mm-hmm. In high school, when I say Black conscious, that means woke to what was going on with us as a people. I remember as a child, when Martin Luther King made his transition, or really was assassinated, I remember my mother crying and things like that. but I really didn't know what that was about. Um, so it was really through music that I began to really advance out into what's really going on in the world. So in my sophomore year in high school at Englewood, I joined the band, the concert band. And I did that because I really didn't know any other way of expressing my hurt and my pain after the death of my mother and us being in foster homes, me and my brothers and sisters. And so I saw a guy at the assembly once playing the sax, and I saw all the ladies, the girls at that time, screaming and hollering. I said, hey, I want to do that. So that's when I joined the concert band in my sophomore year. From that time on, being president of the jazz band, president of the marching band, president of the concert band, and had my picture, full page on our yearbook. And so music became my life. Music became how I expressed myself. Um, Joined the band in the neighborhood, um, and later on went on to travel throughout Europe, throughout Canada, throughout the United States. I have 3 CDs, 2 DVDs, and I'm currently now working in the studio to put out another CD and get it live streamed. Um, and so, um, wow, from the music side, after playing so long in 1987, I was diagnosed with sarcoidosis, and they told me my music career was over. It's a lung disease. It actually affects the lungs primarily.
Okay.
But today, since 1987, we've found out now that you can have sarcoidosis of the brain, the heart, the kidneys, and any other part of your body, but primarily the lungs. And my lungs were, like they told me, I was in the last stage when I came to the hospital, to the doctor, or to the
Mhm.
clinic. And they said, you'll never play your horn again. They said you will never be able to really be upright out doing what you do. So they sent me home to die. They gave me 6 to 18 months to live. And I went home. And so during the time of me trying to get myself together, my sister told me of a book that I had read at a foster home called Back to Eden, like the Garden of Eden.
I
And
have that book.
okay,
That book was like a Bible for
absolutely,
people who were beginning to
absolutely.
change their diet
Mhm.
and go
And I
into
didn't know,
vegetarianism and all of that.
yeah, I didn't know. So she went and got it, went and purchased it again because I had been reading it. And so I went through that book and I went and brought every herb that had something to do with lungs. I didn't care which one it was. People would talk about me, say all he do is drink juice and eat herbs. I
Mm-hmm.
was taking about 100 capsules a day. And then I had to upgrade my spirituality. I had to come up out of the denominations, Baptist and sanctified and the Hebrew thing and all of those different groups.
Now,
And so I studied all of them. Yahweh ben Yahweh in his group, Ben Ami in his group, Malachi Z. York, his group, Nation of Islam, Orthodox Islam. I just studied so many different groups and I became Black conscious basically when I studied the Nation of Islam. And I began to see what Do for Self was about, um, circulating the black dollar, buying black, going into business for yourself, being independent of the system in itself. And so from that point in time, during the time I was in the hospital, I stayed in for a week, no, 12 days. And when I got out, I could tell you so many miracles that happened to show me what I was supposed to do in my ministry, but I don't have that much time. But there were some miracles that took place in that hospital that led me into the ministry. I used to have a production called Temple of Music Association. And in that production, I had a lot of artists that's out here today: Bernie Mac, Adele Gibbons, George Wilburn, and then a few other artists that's out here now. Black Ice doing his thing, Cassius D doing his little thing, got his own business. Because I taught the business of music, and when it took me a year to get back on my feet, and me finding out that one year during the time of our reunion, school reunion, someone told me they had my picture on the wall with the others who had passed, and they thought I had died. And so Temple of Music became Temple of Mercy, because I felt that the Creator had mercy on me. And so now I needed to have mercy on others. And so all of that was together. The music, the illness led me into the ministry. And so Temple of Mercy Association is an all-inclusive, because of studying all in religions. It don't matter what your religion is. You can be a part of our spiritual movement. It's an all-inclusive, black conscious, because there's a lot of people woke, a lot of people conscious, but they ain't black conscious. See, they haven't given themselves over to what Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey taught, which was race first. Every other nation on this planet practices a race first philosophy but us. When we come on and talk, we say us and everybody else. When they talk and they back up whatever they're doing dealing with their people, they don't even mention our name.
Now, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
You know, many people, when they have a crisis, you know, in their lives, they do gravitate towards the spirit, you know, the spirit,
Yes.
and typically a religion. What inspired you to study all of these religions? Because most people, you know, they'll go and become a Christian, stay a Christian, or you know, what have you. What inspired you to go and study all of these different religions?
Well, when I was growing up before my mother passed, I was in Church of God in Christ. She was part of Church of God in Christ, Bright Star Church of God in Christ, which was different from Baptist Church. The foster parent, that our first foster parent, took us out of Church of God in Christ and put us in Greater Harvest Baptist Church. So in the Church of God in Christ, you couldn't wear the women couldn't, you know, straighten their hair. They couldn't wear lipstick. They couldn't wear high heels, wear long dresses. The guys had to have on suits and all. So at one time, she allowed us to go to the church we came from, but then go down the street to Greater Harvest after that. I was confused. When we left Bright Star Church of God in Christ on State Street on 59th and went to 53rd in State Street at Greater Harvest, here's the women and the men coming outside smoking cigarettes. The women dressed like they just came from a club, short skirts, hair fried, lipstick, big old eyes batting like this. I said, now wait a minute. I'm only a young man, and I'm saying now, God said he's not the author of confusion. Now in their church, they told me don't go to that Church of God in Christ. God ain't coming back for them, because they baptize you in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. And then in the Baptist church, they baptize you in the name of the Father and the Holy Spirit. Like that's two different things. So I kept hearing all this religious gang banging. And I said, I want to find out where this happy medium is. Where is God? So I left there, decided I wanted to be a Hebrew. I studied with them. I studied with the Jehovah's Witnesses for 7 years. I studied with so many different groups. I learned Buddhism, and each one I went to talked about the other. And so I said, well, I want to deal with the oneness of this God who is the author of our life. And he's the grim reaper of taking us out. So this higher power, whatever you want to call it, God, I even have an opening where we says, in the name of the everlasting Father, he that calls all that exists to exist, he that is self-existent. He who directs the sunships of millions and trillions of years. He who made time to see to the universe. Known among the ancient Kemites as Amun Ra Aten, among the Hebrews, Ansof Yahweh Elohim, among the Christians, Lord God, Jehovah, among the Muslims as Allah, the one God, among the Rastafarians as Jah, Rastafari, among the Yoruba tribe as Olodumare, Obatala, and many other Orisha gods, but I bear witness that all of those names refer to
Mhm.
the same one, Almighty God. And it's to
Mhm.
that essence whom I give reverence and to whom I submit. That's what we say every time we open up in a prayer in our movement, because
Mhm.
we're tired of being separated by philosophies and religious differences. A lot of
Right.
times we can't even sit at a table. If a Moor there, we can't say black because he gonna have to tell you we ain't black. If a Muslim there and somebody say Jehovah, he gotta say his name Allah. If the Jehovah Witness there, they gonna say you wrong and his name is Jehovah. And the Hebrews gonna say no, it's Yahweh. No,
Mhm.
here we are suffering the same ills in the same community. Bullet ain't got no name on it. It don't flip and go the other way because it's aimed at a Jehovah Witness. We all over here in America, the lost 13 tribe, and we looking for who we really are. And so we need to come together
That's right.
and set aside our religious differences and put aside our philosophy and really find out what's going on with this flood of guns in our community. Really
Mhm.
come together to work on this situation with the so-called migrants. Really work on our situation dealing with housing, dealing with the food desert,
That's
dealing
right.
with all our food is poison. All of it, even the doggone vegetables, poison. Why? Because of Monsanto and his genetically modified organisms. So we
That's
got work to do. We don't have time to be worried about that and fight. So in the temple, I can go to any one of these groups. I can go to the Nation of Islam. They call me brother minister. I go around the corner to the Imam Institute because I know their Al-Fatiha prayer in Arabic, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, the whole thing. And I could sit with them. I could sup with them. I could go to the Baptist church. I play in them. I play in Churches of God in Christ. I play in all this. I have no line that I cannot cross. And I didn't know that's why God was allowing me to study all of that,
Mhm.
because it was like being an ambassador representing a kingdom to come, but respecting each one's culture. See,
Right.
all these are different little cultures in one community.
Mhm.
See, and so in the Temple of Mercy, in the course of a year, we learn all of it.
That's
But
right.
going into October, we deal with Message to the Black Man and the history of Islam. In December, we go into Ramadan and we study all about Ramadan and what it's about. In March and April, we deal with the Hebrews and all of their different things that they deal with. So then we deal with economics
Mhm.
in June, July, and August. We deal with economics. We have the Juneteenth Buy Black Parade. It used to just be called the Buy Black Parade. Dr. Webb Evans used to have the Buy Black Parade when I first came into his organization and met him. I met him when he was 90 years old.
Okay.
And he was doing a parade, so I started helping him with the Buy Black Parade. Well, when they made Juneteenth a holiday now, this is the second year we made it the Juneteenth Buy Black Parade. See,
Why do
and
you
so
think it's so
mhm.
necessary? It's just like what our organization is trying to do, that we have to emphasize to our people that we need to buy black. Why,
Well,
it's like with
I,
other groups, it's understood, you know,
mhm,
just on a fundamental level. It's just
mhm,
understood that this is the way we have to do things because they have networks and they're spending money with each other and they
mhm.
understand and they're reaping the benefits of that. Why
Well, this is
why are we
mhm,
in this state where we got to I have to get on this podcast and ask people to buy black. We have to
mhm.
get these organizations out here, tell people we have to buy black.
Well, see, there's no school you can go to where they're educating us on the tremendous need for us to buy black and circulate our dollars among ourselves. So we have to do it. We have to really show our people, open their eyes and say, how many Arabs and other ethnic groups do you think wake up in the morning and look for a black business to go and shop at?
Mm-hmm.
Then I say, now how many black people wakes up in the morning and go shop at their business? Raise your hand if you know about it.
Mm-hmm.
Now then you'll see that more of us do that. So it's called education. So now we are solely 100% dependent on us to buy from us. But the other groups are not. But we are. So we go out of business fast as we go into business because we solely depend on us. The other groups ain't thinking about buying from us. They got a philosophy that keeps us out. It says, you buy from us and we buy from us. That leaves us out automatically with just that philosophy in their mind.
So,
So
when
now that makes us chart an independent course that have to do for self.
that's right. And this should be coming from the mouths of our leaders. This
Yes,
is what people should be talking about in these churches. This is what
yes,
our
yes,
politicians
yes,
should be addressing, because the children are
yes,
not going to learn that
yes.
in school
Mm-mm.
unless you're going
It's a state
to
of
a
emergency for us.
private
Yes.
school, unless you're going to the
Mm-hmm.
school at Nation of Islam. You're
Mm-hmm.
not going to learn that. And even
Right.
children from other ethnic groups are not going to learn that at school. So that
Mm-hmm.
has to come from our leadership.
Now, in the temple, we have our children when they come into the temple or when they join the temple. We have them go to Betty Shabazz for a while, for a few of their years. Then we have them go to the University of Islam for the other years, because remember, we all inclusive. And so we got some young men and women who know the Black National Anthem, and then they know the opening in Islam, in Arabic and in English. So we have to have our children well versed for when they coming out here in the world. They know about the red, black, and green flag, but they know about the other flags that our people involved in. And it's like, if we don't come together to form our own miniature version of a United Nations, we're going to suffer and we're going to fall. And what I mean is we got to accept all the different tribes, and we got to come together and create a replica of the United Nations among us and stop fighting. Create bylaws, a constitution for us under that, and let us exist until maybe one day we will. Because I even got a situation dealing with the Afro-descended nation. All right, they having a reparations event October 7th and 8th. I'll be going down there to Atlanta for that. They asked me to come down there, speak and play. And they do it every year, but I had stopped going around there with them because they are another group called the Lost Foundation of Islam under Silas Muhammad. And Silas Muhammad and Minister Louis Farrakhan has been fighting with each other ever since Elijah Muhammad died. And so they want us to now be a part of the Afro-descended nation because Silas Muhammad was able to get inside of the United Nations and bring that to that body. So he's the only one who's been the closest to us getting reparations than anybody else. But if they would remove that cap that they got in a Afro-descended nation, that their president, the vice president, and all the people that are senators got to be members of the Lost Foundation of Islam. How many people going to join that?
Not too many.
Because everybody don't want to be a member of the Lost Foundation of Islam. I told them this. They say, well, look at our bylaws constitution, show me what all turns the people off. I did that. They didn't change nothing. So I backed out. So the last 2 years, I didn't go to the reparations and leadership meetings. So they're going to track me down and came to my Juneteenth event. And the president of the Afro-descendant, they say, can we get you to come to the thing? We love to hear you play. And you say, look, this, okay. I say, I'll go again this time. We got to stop playing with this thing. And we got to stop thinking people got to join your movement. I help people outside the movement because the temple of mercy is this: a house dedicated to the observance of God. It ain't the building. When you leave that building, they might turn that building to a store or gas station. That ain't the temple. You the temple, I'm the temple. We walk in temples. And our people are in need of the information we got, and we got to show that we care. It ain't about how much we know, it's how much we care about each other.
You know, this this
My
this
neighbor.
this makes me think about when Martin Luther King was coming to different cities, and there
Mm-hmm.
were cities that he went to, uh, and many black leaders, black preachers,
Yes,
they didn't want him to
yes,
come.
yes. Black preachers, to be exact.
Uh-huh. And someone, I
Yes.
was talking with someone about something similar today. They were on a show and
Mm-hmm.
mentioned some negative commentary about Harold Washington from
Yeah.
some of our
Mhm.
our our, our black our black leaders.
I
And
played
so
at the inauguration.
this is like an invisible cloak, you know,
Yes.
an elephant in the room that you can't see, that is blocking, you know, and creating
Well,
all of these divisions. And it's
w-
what is it? Is it a power? Is it a power thing? Is it money?
well,
Is it, what is it?
well. See, you remember the old saying that we always think that the white man's ice is colder.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that philosophy is what got us in our actions in the condition that we in. I'll give you a good example. Let's go to Marcus Garvey because he suffered the same thing that uh, Martin Luther King did when he was traveling. The Chicago Defender, Senstack, Abbott, his name was Abbott, that was the first one. And then W.E.B. Du Bois. They all went against Marcus Garvey because he was saying do for self. Okay, why? Because all of the gangs, GAINS, that they had made and kissing up to white people and being close to white folks and getting all these benefits from them, they said he was coming to mess all of that up that they took so long to gain. So the same thing with Martin Luther King doing what he was doing, who was exposing the demonic mind of the white man. Elijah Muhammad said he was the devil, but Martin Luther King didn't know unknowingly that he was showing the world that that was a devil. Only a devil could do the things to us what they were doing. And so now we turn around, and because we then became middle class working for that white structure, we became aldermen and all of that working for them. If somebody come in and start talking black and us doing for ourselves and us being on the same footing as all other races, where they're not begging somebody, but they are trading with someone and bargaining with you. When we come to do that, we we actually mess with their, what would you call it, class level, and it will mess with their money, their job. They don't want to look. In order for us to get back where we once were as a people, there has to be some sacrifice. Now, you don't have to give all your stuff up and go sell it. Jesus didn't mean that when he told the rich man to do that. If that rich man would have just went home and started packing, Jesus would have came and knocked on the door and said, your faith is well founded. Come on. That means you have to have it in your heart that you will give it up if you have to, and start doing what we need to do to work on our own stuff, get our own everything. Right? I went to a Pete's today on the west side,
Mm-hmm. On
on
Western,
Western.
yes.
I thought it was a full service
I'm
supermarket,
telling you,
and everybody working in there was
that's
Hispanics.
right. And they got
All right.
everything.
And maybe 5 black people.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it was everything. The shelves were stacked every day. A big old cuisine of hot food, vegetables, whatever. And I was shocked Because I was already upset that the Hispanics that came in and got a TV station called Telemundo, and we still ain't got nothing.
That's right.
And we sold the only one we had, BET. And so now they got this full service supermarket. I say, well, we just might well give on up because they got it now. They just gonna move us on out, and we just going where they tell us to go and start all over again because we are in our own way, and we don't want to sacrifice to get where we need to be, which is independent as a race, just like everyone else is independent. They just had a holiday, right?
That's right.
Hispanic holiday. Did you ever see them protest to get that holiday?
Nope.
Did you ever see them beg somebody to give it to them? I don't remember them doing that. Then why do we have to do that for Marcus Garvey? I mean, for Martin Luther King. Then why do we have to beg for Juneteenth? See, our mentality is messed up. And the sad part about it is we pass it down to our children. And so they become another like us, and on and on and on and on. And we didn't wake up. And if one of our children wake up, we say they too militant. When we think nationalistic, look, here's a group of Hispanics just had a parade and a celebration, but that's the place they ran from, Mexico. But yet, they still respect where they came from.
That's right.
And they here, and they bring their flag here. I can go on my block, their flag is outside on 2 or 3 houses. We can't even get us to have the red, black, and green out there.
Now, as you were talking, it made me think about when we first started this organization, and people would tell us, well, go to some of the major organizations, Urban League, Bush, NAACP, and mention some organizations, and they'll probably help you out and give you some dollars. Or go talk to the Chamber of Commerce's, but behind that came the remark, but don't go in there talking that black stuff.
That's right. That's it.
And I'm like,
see,
well,
you gotta negotiate.
Black stuff. What am I going to talk about?
You have to learn how to negotiate. Did you hear the word?
I heard you.
That's what you have to learn how to do. Come with your hat in your hand and negotiate.
So how do we circumvent this? How do we start to get past this? People are saying, well, let's vote these people out and let's do this and let's do that.
I've been doing this 32 years. I was so gung-ho when I started, because when I learned it and kept studying it, I was so happy to know that we had some people who were standing for something. I didn't even know we had nothing to stand for. Right now, people don't even know who S.B. Fuller is. And he was a multi-millionaire right here in Chicago. He owned the building that the Regal was actually running out of on 47th Street. He had a major department store on 47th Street, big as Sears, and he was a Republican. He was not a Democrat. A lot of people don't know about him, that he started with a hair care product. When I found out all of that stuff, I was running telling people. And yes, I was hearing people say, I even had a preacher one day say, he come with that black stuff, a black preacher. And I said, well, I kept bringing stuff to the table and they kept on turning it down. So I said, well, I'll show you. I was like Garvey. Garvey said, we ain't got our own this, that. Well, I'll show you how to get it. And so when I came to them about us having our own paper and they didn't want to do it, we created our own. We got Wake Up News. I'll show you an issue. I meant to mention that too.
Okay.
Then I went to the Masonic order and I started saying, we need to hit these streets. We need to go out here and we need to do something. They were like, no, you're getting too militant now. You can't upset the situation. We already, so I left them and went and started my OMIB and hit the street.
Is that when you started Temple of Mercy?
Temple of Mercy. After I got sick, Temple of Mercy, started my own production, Toma production in music. Started my own record label because I didn't want to be assigned to all the stuff Kanye West exposed that was going on back then.
So
Michael Jackson, all of them.
what were the fundamental things that you were teaching other people in your Temple of Music Association? What was just
Oh,
some fundamental things that they needed to know?
well, I taught them the business of music because I went to Columbia and majored in arts, entertainment, media management. I told them you cannot be in my production just as an artist. If you don't learn the business of music, get out. And so I taught them that. I taught them, it was almost like a little Motown. We'll rent different venues. One artist would be the MC that time, another artist would be the MC the next time. I would take them with me to show them how to rent the venue, how to do event planning. I taught them how to read contracts, how to negotiate contracts, because all contracts are negotiable. I took them to different places where producers and all hang out at. There was a place on the north side, a big place right across the street from McDonald's, where all the stars hang out at when they came to Chicago. And I would take them there to meet them, shake hands with them, get to know these people, then sit down and talk about the whole scenario, about how they add this extra stuff in contracts. I even got a couple of people out of contracts. Some got in. I don't want to name their names, but one of them didn't listen to me. It was a guy named J.B. Ross here in Chicago. Big, heavy set white guy, Jewish white guy. And he was the one who got all of the Dale's money, all of Tyrone Davis' money, all of Gene Chandler's money. He was their so-called booking agent, getting all the money. Curtis Mayfield, you name him that was here in Chicago, it was J.B. Ross. I made sure all my artists met him.
Mm-hmm.
Then he got a lady to come and try to get some of my artists. And when we was about to leave, because we said we're going to look at the contract first and we'll come back. Because I knew all contracts were negotiable. But they play the tape, say, well, we got all kind of people waiting for this. And so he played the song, and I knew who the artist was, say, that person waiting right now, we can get them. I said, well, you just go ahead and get them, but we going to go look at this contract and come back.
Mm-hmm.
And I rewrote part of it. And I told the brother, I say, they're going to call you as soon as you get home. I just happen to live downstairs from them in a 2-flat. I say, so when they call you, you let me know they called him to tell him I was stopping him from having his career. That guy right now done created his own poet awards. This is the 4th year he's been doing that and running it, and people coming in from all over the United States to get their award. They, he got it on social media where they vote for each other and all of that. His own awards thing.
Okay.
All right. Not only that, his name is Black Ice. He was called Ice Cold, the Ultimate Warrior. When I met him, he was about to drop out of school. And he always lets people know if it wasn't for me teaching him the business, he would not have a business.
Are you still doing that now?
I don't teach the music business anymore because
Okay.
I've been working on my own art.
Okay.
But I do talk to young people now and show them how to create their own fan base and things like that. But I don't give these classes like I used to. If some of the young people ask me to read a contract for them, I don't just read it. I read it with them.
Okay.
And show them.
That's very important because so many of our musicians, have been taken advantage of down through the years.
I had to show them what publishing was. People was charging you to have your own publishing company, $200 and $300, but it was free to get your own publishing company.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't know that. See, the game is this. I know what you don't know. Pay me.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew what it was about. I got my own publishing company, but they didn't know you could get it for free.
Mm-hmm.
See, then I showed them what publishing was about, how it's set up. I showed them about songwriting and how to copyright their stuff. what a work for hire really meant. These terms, they didn't know nothing. Matter of fact, they didn't tell them. They said, you just worry about performing, let us
Mm-hmm.
take care of the business.
Mm-hmm.
So when they went out and got a manager, they knew exactly what he was supposed to do. If a producer came to them, they knew exactly what he's supposed to do. And if they didn't do it, they knew how to find somebody who did or do it themselves. Rapping Tape, Black Ice, Cassius D. I put out CDs on them. I got my own CDs. But now I'm not doing that because I got other stuff I'm doing. But I am helping the brother and his wife manage their son, and they got their own production. And I've been telling them a lot about the music business. I ain't been in it, but I'm doing my own thing right now. I'm in the
Okay.
studio. I'm trying to put out another CD
Mm-hmm.
as well as some other things.
Knowledge is very
But that's what I
powerful,
do.
isn't it?
Yes, it
Yes,
is.
it
It
is.
is.
Now,
You know.
you have your other organization, your Temple of Mercy.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
I believe I did earlier
And I mean,
when I mentioned that we were an all-inclusive
okay,
Black conscious righteous movement.
okay,
Um, I told you about our prescribed readings, not, when you said that, it's just tripped out. I know one of my members said, well, I got an ebook on the internet. I said, no, I said, buy the book. I said, it's not the same,
mm-hmm.
you know. Another one was, they're trying to get any other kind of way than get the book. But we got prescribed readings, 12 books that we read, two of them. One is the Bible, one's the Holy Quran. Then you got the other books I was telling you about. Not only that, every during the holiday, we feed them and physically, and we give them high, don't give groceries and all that. What they gonna do with it? We feed them hot meals. We give them enough to eat that they can go back and get seconds while we up there teaching and speaking to them about being Black conscious, who their God is, all the Black people in the Bible, the whole 9 yards. They people that come in from off the street who didn't know none of this.
So you're
None of them.
helping to uplift their consciousness. You're not
Yes,
just giving them some food to eat, which is what
absolutely.
a lot of these
Absolutely.
institutions do in terms of giving free breakfast.
No, you don't just do that.
Mm-hmm.
We ain't just trying to give them no Holy Ghost and no run around shouting and stuff. No, we let you know that even Jesus himself let you know the temple of God was you,
Mm-hmm.
and that is in you. It comes up from out of you. Education, edu, means it's to bring up out of, not to put into. And that's why I told some people at a school one time, I said, the teachers ain't teaching you nothing. And the teachers got upset, saying, hey, we ain't bringing him here no more. I say, no, what I'm saying is this. You're only bringing out of them what was already there, not depositing nothing. And so that's what we do. We find out what your gift is, and we try to help you to make it come true, but you got to meet us halfway. And that's what Toma does. Toma, we don't make you join, and we don't make you quit, but you have to become a vegetarian after 12 months because we believe in health, wealth, and knowledge of self. We eat one meal a day. Every Friday evening we fast to Saturday evening. And the third Thursday of every month we fast for 3 days. Fasting also helps you. Uh,
How does
Elijah
fasting
Muhammad,
help you?
I was going to say that.
Briefly.
Elijah Muhammad said, one of the main things we have to learn how to do is control our desires, because the enemy keeps us by appealing to our desires. And he said, if you can control your appetite, you can control any other desire. And fasting helps you to control your desires.
Mm-hmm.
And so now, when the enemy don't see that you're not responding to all of the stuff that they're throwing at us subliminal messages in the commercials and in our music and in things like that. When they see that you're not being affected, that's when you become a threat. And especially if you got people listening to you. See, but you can't be afraid. Nobody can take your life.
And
But
it's not only the fear of a threat, but it is uplifting you. It is bringing
yeah,
you out of
yeah,
this situation that you
yeah,
are in.
absolutely.
However, whatever other people are thinking about what you're
Hmm.
doing,
Hmm.
but you're going
Hmm.
inside
There you go.
and developing your power.
You cannot be afraid to walk the path that don't have as many footsteps in it. Sometimes you have to be a pioneer and lead the way. And that's what I consider myself to be, a pioneer. I'll leave a path and I'll tag it so you'll know I came that way. That's what I
Now,
do.
one of the things that really attracted me to what you were doing, I'm going to show this
Hmm.
card up here, if I
Hmm.
can. All right.
Hmm.
And this is about the original men
In black.
in black. And then tell
That's
us
the group
about
that
this
started.
this is the other leg of your
Yes,
organization.
yes. And they started when, again, the Masons wouldn't go out on the streets with me because of all the killing back in the 90s. We said, we got to go out there. If we can just deflect it for a while, that's good. That makes somebody feel safe walking down the street. They say, but you want to go out there with your suits on? I say, yeah, ain't nobody out on the street with no suits. Say, matter of fact, put on the whole regalia, the collar, the fez, and believe me, it'll make a change in the community. We can't do that. We can't do that. So we started the Men in Black in the 90s. Then the movie came out, Men in Black, and people started saying we got that from them. Said no, we did not. We were the Men in Black before then. Even the Masons started getting caps talking about Men in Black. And we came up with that phrase. So then we put the O on there, original Men in Black. And then we always said, even though we in black suits, we were talking about our black skin. And what were we supposed to do? We were supposed to go out in the streets in our suits and let the people see a different side, a different image of men, young men, walking around, talking to our brothers and sisters, no matter where they are, no matter what they're doing. I got tired of marching with people, coming out of a church and walking past the people they talking about.
Mm-hmm.
We said we're going to walk to them. We're going to talk to them. We're going to find out what their needs are. We had a survey sheet. And then we're going to invite them to come to our space so we can answer those needs. And so that's what we started doing. And believe me, we heard people saying there's hope after all. Matter of fact, the Nation of Islam wasn't even walking the streets like we were until we started. And we didn't just do the main streets. We went down the side streets where people were at. I even got pictures where we even went down the alley where we saw people playing basketball. And that's what we're about. We more like hospitality. And we talk to you. We help uh, uh, elderly people uh, get their groceries in their cars or whatever it is, get it to their door. Um, if there's an altercation and they see us coming, they'll stop. Here come a bunch of men in suits. Who are they? Are they deacons for defense? Are they the Black Panther Party? Are they Nation of Islam? No, we're the original Men in Black. And we helped with the Ryan Harris case when they had the girls, this girl that they killed, and they blamed it on two young boys.
Right.
They had us in the Time magazine because we were covering up the young boys from the media when they were coming into court. That was the OMIB. The Jeremiah Mirday case, when the police beat up this guy and they kept intimidating his family in court. The police officers did. That every time they called up somebody, they stood up. So about 10 of us came to court. And every time they stood up, we stood up. And they order in the court, order. But we were in our suits. you know. And so we were working with that case, the Latanya Haggerty case. We worked with that case. When Everfresh put juice in alcohol-shaped bottles, wine bottles, looking like Wild Irish Rose bottles, we went up against them. And that's when people, the handkerchief head Negroes came out. Have to be sure to say that. I should name them, but I ain't gonna do that on your show. But they some of your civil rights leaders that's in Chicago telling us we wet behind the ears. We don't know what we're doing. We should be letting them, telling them that they need to hire some of our people to drive their trucks, that they need to, all that stuff. Y'all need to advertise on VON and this and that. I say, what, at the expense of the future of our children? I say, these people ain't thinking about us being alcoholics. They feel like we already done. They looking for future alcoholics to further their enterprise. So they trying to subliminally make alcoholics of the future. You running out, we saw kids running out the store turning up the bottle, just like drunks do. But they had juice in it. You don't see that anymore because the original Men in Black made sure that didn't happen. We had 9752 news channels following us to every Arab store saying, get that stuff up out of here. I got the video, but we got to get it off of VHS and put it on something else. Yeah. But we fought. We fought, and they followed us with them cameras, and they got that stuff out of there. And so that's what the OMIB does. And the people who we help, the young people who we help, that gives you street cred. You know, I helped a young man read because they were going to kick him out of a program we had because he kept on, you know, disrupting. But the lady who was teaching them had them reading one at a time. And before they got around to him, he started acting up. So I brought him to my other temple. I had another temple at the time, 2 temples. And I taught him how to read through our newspaper, you know, our Wake Up News. And he went on and went to Kennedy King College. We saw him one day with his books and everything, going to college. But yet he was still with his peers, his gang. And one time we was at a situation on the street, and they were all across the street. The gangs was watching the media talk about a shooting. And I told them, let's go over there and talk to them because they said the people were saying that they were going to go over there, the police and all, and arrest them after the media leave. So I said, we need to go tell them. So we was going across the street toward them, and the youth started walking away from us. And so they said, what we going to do? I said, keep going. And then one of them looked back and saw me say, oh, that's Minister Rahim, Sax Preacher. And they stopped, and he started introducing us to all of them. Guess what? If I would have let him get kicked out of that program years ago, if I would not have found out what was his challenge and taught him how to read on them streets, you see what I'm saying? Yeah. Look who we run into. So it ain't how much you know all the time, it's how much you care about our people.
That's right.
I have 5 children and 15 grandchildren. I've been married for 38 years. See, and I raised my brothers and sisters, got them out to foster homes. I did all of that, and God blesses me. He healed me of sarcoidosis. I can play my horn. I don't get no income from none of those organizations. I get all my income playing.
Okay.
Playing. Every week I'm playing somewhere. Sunday I'm playing somewhere. Wednesday I'm playing somewhere.
What shows do you have coming up?
Well, this Sunday I'll be in Evanston.
Okay.
Playing for some people from Belize.
Yes.
And they every year this guy named called Villanueva, his son got shot and killed. And so every year he do something in memory of his son.
Okay.
In Evanston. And so I've been doing that for him every year for about 7 years now. And so that's open to the public, but most people there are from Belize and they like to hear me play. Then after that, they play all their music.
Do you have a website where people can go to and follow you?
www.saxpreacher.com.
Okay.
That's my music.
And there they can find out where you're playing They
Yes.
can find out
Yes.
about your organizational work.
On Facebook, it's Toma Nation, Toma Nation, on
Okay.
Facebook with the Temple of Mercy.
Okay.
You can look up United Black American Progress Association on Facebook. We have a page for that too. Um, just look on social media. We're going to start promoting our banquet, our 62-year banquet. Temple of Mercy has their annual banquet in February. We call it the Black Heritage Banquet. We'll be celebrating 32 years as Temple of Mercy. Um, woo.
There's so much going on. There's so much going on, but it's beautiful. It's a beautiful
Yeah.
thing, you know. It's like you're allowing yourself to be. You're allowing the universe. You're allowing
Yes.
the spirit
Use me.
to
Yes.
use you. That's
Yeah.
that's 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 what I see. And
Absolutely.
it's a
And I
beautiful
love
thing.
it.
I want to
And I
ask
love
you, I have to ask because this is a major issue
it. Mhm.
going on, especially here in Chicago now.
Mhm.
We're looking at our communities, we're looking at our businesses, and historically, when we've had a lot of immigrants coming to our
Mhm.
community, it's destabilized our
Mhm.
communities.
Mhm.
If our people have gone out of business, and
Yes.
I'm starting to see some, see that happen already again,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
um, even with the development of the Obama Center, even coming
Mhm.
to South Shore,
Yes.
this
Getting it
whole
on.
conversation with the immigrants and what is your thought? What are your thoughts on that in terms of our community, the impact, or what we should be doing?
Well, one of the main things, first, we still got to unite. And when I say unite, we all got to understand the commonality of what we're all involved in. First, we're not immigrants at all. We never were. The first white man that came over here was an immigrant, and they came on their own. We were made to come here, even though our cousins, the Native Americans, were already here. So once we settle that and stop thinking we immigrants too, we ain't gonna really get nowhere. So we got to know that first. Now we're looking at these migrants or immigrants or whatever. If we can't form a united front for our fair share of monies that have yet to be allotted to us, we don't have to say reparations, but money that have never been allotted to us, they can get grants and give and flood the community with all these grants, but they still can't give us our fair share for proper housing. If we don't stand up and say enough is enough, and don't worry about disappointing or hurting the alderman's feelings or the congressmen and all, if they are not truly championing our cause, we need to call them out. And while we're calling them out, we need to fight hard for now, me personally now, I'm not fighting hard for none of that. But I will fight with you for that if that's your cause. And we need to have those fighting. Yes, fight for our fair share of the finances or the money that is rightfully ours, that is going to another group when they never gave us our due, our just due. But we can't keep fighting like this.
Right. Do
If you
you
don't
see do you
agitate,
see a change? Do you see our young people as you work with people out here on the streets? Do you see an awakening or a move in that direction at all?
not in that direction. I've been seeing an awakening of
Mm-hmm.
some of our young people spiritually, but I think they're using it as a form of escape,
Mm.
escaping reality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's not good. Um, a lot of them see it and hear it, but they're not investigating it and really knowing what's happening. And they seem lost. And they lost because they keep hearing us complain and complain and
Mm-hmm.
complain. And then they see us fighting each other, you know, and everybody fighting for the crumbs that fall from the rich man's table. They seeing this with their eyes. But instead of moving to do something about it, they want to run away from it. So they vaping, smoking weed, and having their own little circles of friends and what they call rapping and doing spoken word. They're running away from it like we used to when we were coming up, smoking and drinking. What can we do? All we can do is remember in the Holy Bible and in the Holy Quran that it was never a big army that went up against the enemy or the powers that be.
That's right.
Never
That's
was.
right. That's right.
With Gideon, he had 300 men that went up against 10,000. At first, he had enough men to match them. But in order to ignite this higher power, the odds got to be against you. If you want the impossible to work, then you got to do the things that's possible for the impossible to kick in. And until we understand how to tap into that higher source, that higher power that comes from within, then we'll never be able to overcome this enemy because we're always going to be either paid to back down, or they're going to do something to your income, or they're going to do something to somebody in your family and let you know it's them, because we are not together and we're not exposing them and we're not naming names. The David hit Goliath in the head. You have to go to the head and you got to call them out and you got to be bold about it and you got to investigate. See, we'll make the excuse we don't want to be in the Nation of Islam because we don't want to be Muslims. But at the same time, what about if they weren't Muslims? What about what they're doing as nationals? They're becoming a nation within a nation. See, so we just making excuses, and our young people are just all over the place. They don't really know who to trust. I've been to so many meetings where I've seen elderly people, 70 years old, act like children. But yet, out of their mouth, they'll say, ain't no youth at this table. I say, to see what? To see you act just like them. Look what we passing down. See? And they have to see us being what we talk about.
Mm-hmm.
If we talk about being a vegetarian or a vegan,
we need to be a vegetarian. We need to be a vegetarian or a vegan.
They got to see the benefit.
That's right.
If they don't see it and we just talking it don't mean nothing.
That's right.
See, and so we got to stand on it. We got to represent the other side. If there is to be one, then we got to come together. Because what good if they see one vegetarian among them? Oh, that's he right. Ain't nothing. We gonna keep eating what we eat.
That's right.
See, we got to set the example.
Well, I think you're doing it 1,000%. You're out here. You're doing it, and that's all you can do is do your part. And I 100% agree with you. When I look, even I think what inspired me to go on and try to do something as far as this organization, I look back at the civil rights movement, and I said, the majority of Black people did not get involved.
Sure didn't.
Majority of Black people sat there and watched those Black people get shot, dogs, sicked on holes by the police, beat up, thrown in jail. Most Black people did not get involved, but when the benefits came on the table, it was for everybody.
That it was. It
was for everybody, but everybody isn't. So you are 100% right about that.
Here's something I tell people now when they say, if you ain't at the table, you on the menu. I say, what about now you at the table and see you on the menu? That you on the menu still being served up. Now what you gonna do?
Thinking they're gonna scrape themselves off the plate.
Yeah. At least we used to say, I want a piece of the pie. We used
Uh-huh.
to say we want a slice of the cake. Now we settling for crumbs.
Mm-hmm.
See, we got look. I know all I could say now is I'm gonna do my part, and
That's
I'm not
right.
gonna let the disappointment get to me.
That's right.
Farrakhan said, the way you measure and monitor your commitment to our people is this. Keep saying this. You got to love your people
That's right.
more than they hate themselves.
Mm.
More than they hate themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Now, measure that against how you think and feel about them, and that'll determine how long you'll be on this struggle.
That's right.
Because you gotta
That's
love
an
them more than
enlight.
them.
That's a form of enlightening, becoming enlightened. Because if you're
Yes,
looking at it that way, you
yes,
begin to look more deeper at
yes,
where we really are.
absolutely. Because we really don't love ourselves. That's
Mm-hmm.
why we pick up the gun and just shoot and it don't matter. And then they flood the community with the guns. And nobody wants to call them people out that's doing that. And when I call them out, they run from me because I'm
Yeah.
messing up their grant. They can't be seen with me. They can't be. Should only the nation be standing up like that? That's it. I got an organization. You don't have to be a Muslim. I got an organization. You don't have to be nothing, but you got to be disciplined. You
Mm-hmm.
got to have principle. You got to show people the other way. They
Right.
got to see you living what you talk about.
Mm-hmm.
B.B. King said, I love to live the life that I sing about in my
That's right
song.
in my song.
Now,
That's
how about us living the life we speak about in
mm-hmm.
our actions? And then if it's more of us, then some of these young people growing up will see because we held the line and didn't waver, they'll
Mm-hmm.
say it must be something behind that.
That's right.
I teach them about Marcus Garvey every year. Now we got 25 young men and women who know about Marcus Garvey between the age of 17 and 21 who didn't know who he was. We was walking in on 47th Street and I walked in the barber shop and a guy owned it who used to be in one of our classes back in 2008. He said, oh, I own this. You don't know who I am, but I know who you are. I had a girl see me at our new spot on 71st. She was living next door. I know. She said, did you used to teach over on 79th Street? I said, yeah, that was me. She said, I thought so. She said, every time I'm with my friends and we talking and getting high, excuse me for saying it, but I be getting high. And I start telling them about the stuff that we seeing going on in the world. I tell them, I know a man who told us about all of this before it happened. And
Mm-hmm.
now I'm seeing you again. I got to where y'all at? I said, we over here. I say, wait till I tell you what's getting ready to happen 5 more years from now if we
Mm-hmm.
don't do what we supposed to do right now.
And then
Yeah.
there's those people that see what you're doing, that
Mhm.
are benefiting from what you're doing.
Oh yes, right now, yeah,
And so that's what's
yeah.
that's what's important.
And I
Um,
love to see that, you know.
Minister Rahim Anton,
Can I say something
known
about
as
that real
Sax
quick?
Preacher,
Can I say something
the
about that
kind of
right quick?
ministry. Pardon me.
Can I say something about my name right quick?
Okay, sure.
Rahim means mercy in
Okay.
Arabic. The middle name is Chesed, which is Hebrew, which means mercy. Aten, which is short version of Unk Aten, means the one God. So it's the mercy of one God. And so the temple of mercy, then showing our people that it don't matter what our religion is. So I took on the name of each one of these different religions because even Kased is Christian too. Jewish, Christian, Hebrew, all under the 6-point star. Rahim, 5-point star. Even with the gangs, 5-point star. Red, see, go across the board. Then Aten, one God, the mercy of one God. See, I don't just say what we need to do, but I do it too.
Now you also have a lodge,
Yes,
a
yes.
Masonic lodge. Okay.
Franklin Lodge goes out sometime with the OMIB in order to give a bigger impact to the community. because they don't see too many Masons out on the street. And they give, they guard. And so it's part of the shock and awe to get the people to recognize that we are here and and it also lets the enemy know that we here and
So for
somebody
those
here.
people who do not know, people I know have heard of the Masons. Who are the Masons?
Well, that's a whole long story, but I'm going to say it as short as I can.
Okay.
First, I'm going to tell you who Black Masons aren't. We are not the Illuminati. That's what they've been telling our young people. All right. Black Masons is a fraternal order, similar to the sororities and fraternities in colleges. They are actually the father of those fraternal orders in the colleges, the Greek fraternities, and they like our children. And so we're just a fraternal order who, just like the Greeks and all do, got passwords and signs and things like that, so we'll know one another. And in life, when we meet one another, no matter what walk of life we in, we opens the door for the next. We help one another. We grow together with each other. I've been seeing Stephanie Coleman and all them doing their little signs of their sororities. I've been seeing the Kappas and the Alphas doing theirs. Well, the Masons do theirs too.
Okay.
So it's really, if I can say it without them feeling like they being shafted a little bit, a whole lot of boys and girls clubs. That's basically what I'll call it. The white Masons got the power. Let's be sure to know about that. The Black Masons don't. That's the truth. I don't lie about it. And in my lodge, we teach white masonry, the one that they stole from us, and we teach ancient Kemet, where it really started. And one of our books is The Stolen Legacy by George G.M. James, showing how they stole all of that from us and took it and ran with it. Socrates, Hippocrates, Plato stole all that from us. That's what I teach. And so in our lives, we try to bring that to the others, but it's too black. Again.
Yeah. Talking that black stuff.
Yeah. They don't want the truth.
Yeah.
They want to just walk around and think that Albert Pike is the father of Mason. I beat up Albert Pike so bad, I ain't even got time to do it. They told me he's the father of Mason.
Wow.
I said, you're lying. The earth represents the Masonic Lodge. It's 3 degrees before you come into Mason. 3 degrees of initiation, talking about King Solomon. And when you get to your 3rd degree, then you're a true Mason. That's when you're now a Mason. The lodge itself is called the Blue Lodge. The 3rd planet from the sun is the Earth. 3. The first is the 3rd planet. So the lodge, the dimensions of a lodge is the covering of a lodge, a starry decked heaven and a cloudy canopy. The dimensions is the far east as you can go, far west, as far north and south as you can go. Do that sound like a building, or do that sound like that's this planet? The Blue Lodge.
That sounds like this planet.
The next degree, the Blue House, is called, what's the name?
Okay, you freezing up. I don't know this
Oh, talking like this, that's why. They don't want me to say all that. But they can't stop me from saying it.
Okay.
I know what they know now.
Wow.
But I teach Black Masonry. I'm Black conscious. I'm not trying to be with the white people at all. And I let them know that Ali was a Mason, and he got his nobleman's degree, which is the 32nd degree. I let them know that Elijah Muhammad made it to the Blue House and he got his third degree. Most of them came through masonry too, but they whisper about it. I don't whisper. I tell
Mhm.
you. So we don't have to get to all that crazy. The
Okay.
power of anyone's lodge is resting on the head of that lodge and what he knows. If he a dunce, then your lodge is a dunce.
Mm. You gotta watch watch who you get behind, right?
Yes, yes,
You need to do your homework.
yes. And I done made over 300 brothers Masons in this city right today. And they know Black Masonry. Another one of their books is Nile Valley Civilization.
Well,
So let me
Minister
shut up.
Rahim, this has been a very enlightening show. As I mentioned in the beginning, I know just from having conversation with you, the knowledge that you have, I thank you for imparting it tonight. I thank you for all the work that you're doing in the community, um, and the example that you're setting. We need that, and so you're definitely
Thank
doing your
you.
part. And I want to thank you again for coming on this show. And
Please come and visit us sometime.
I will. I'll
Yeah.
do that. I'll do that. Absolutely. So, family,
Hello?
I hope you learned something tonight. I know you can say you enjoyed the show, but I always want people to learn something. That's what's important.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
what's important. And so you can watch this podcast. It will be archived on our website, and you can come back and watch this podcast whenever you like. We also ask that you go to our website at rrgbc.org and subscribe so that you can become eligible to win our book of the month. And you can also donate to our organization. And we have an online store where you can purchase items that will help us to do the work that we're doing. So, again, Minister Rahim, I want to thank you for coming. And family, have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you. May God bless you.